What's up guys, and today I'm doing an operator analysis on Caveira. For Caveira's primary, you have the choice between the M12 or the SPA 15. I usually always go SPA 15, mainly because I think the M12 is probably the shittiest gun in the game. It has decent damage, but that fire rate makes it really bad, and the only way you're really going to get kills with it if you get headshots. As for the SPA 15, it's super good up close. The only issue is once you get to a medium to long range battle, that shotgun is no longer useful. It does very little damage at a medium to long range fight, and it also has a lot of recoil, so that kick is going to make you miss a lot. One thing to note about the SPA 15 is that if you shoot somebody point blank in the face, they're just going to get downed. And the developers obviously did this to help Caveira use their special ability. As for my attachments, for the M12 I always pick red dot. I don't like putting a silencer on this weapon. It reduces the damage way too low, and it makes it a lot worse than it already is. As for the SPA 15, I usually put a reticle sight on it. For Caveira's secondary weapons, you only have one choice, which is the Lucian pistol. This pistol is automatically silenced, and it has 99 damage, which I thought was kind of crazy when I first saw it, but that 99 damage is really only effective close range. And for this pistol, I put no attachments on it. Now moving on to Caveira's gadget, you have the choice between impact grenades or barbed wire. Since you're Caveira, I highly recommend you use impact grenades. Since Caveira is a 3-speed operator, impact grenades provide so much potential when playing. As for barbed wire, it really depends on the situation. Overall, I think impact grenades are way better, especially with Caveira. Having that 3-speed really could be utilized well with impact grenades. So now I'm going to be talking about Caveira's special ability, which is Silent Step. Silent Step reduces Caveira's noise when she's walking, crouching, or prone. It also gives you the ability to injure the enemy if you melee. And with this, Caveira also has the ability to interrogate an enemy. And when this happens, the enemy has an icon on top of their head, and you can see it through a wall in real time. Keep in mind though that this only lasts around 10 seconds. So you have a short period of time after you interrogate someone. Also, Caveira can use her special ability unlimited times. Unlike the rest of the operators, Caveira's special ability is more like a skill set. Although you can use her ability unlimited times, she still has a time limit for how long she can use that ability. The Silent Step itself lasts around 10 seconds, and it takes around 7 seconds to recharge it. One thing to keep in mind though is that if Caveira is using her Silent Step, it doesn't mean that she's completely quiet. If you're running with her, you could hear her footsteps barely, but if you're crouching or proning, she is completely silent. Also, how loud your footsteps are also depends on what surface you're on. If you're on metal, it's a lot louder, and if you're on a carpet, it's a lot quieter. So keep that in mind next time you play Caveira. So now I'm going to be talking about Caveira's role in the team. When it comes to Caveira, she doesn't have an important role in the team, but since she has Silent Step, she could be one of the best roamers in the game. Roamers are by far the biggest threat to attackers when they come inside a building. Roamers are what make the attacking team really paranoid. Since you're using Caveira, she should be outside of the ejective room. So the best way to utilize Caveira is to find an isolated enemy. The reason I say this is because if they have a teammate right next to them, you're not going to get the interrogation, and not only that, you just lost your kill. Also keep in mind, since you're Caveira and you do down an enemy, their teammates are probably going to rotate to them, so keep that in mind next time you're about to interrogate. Caveira's loadout makes it hard for her to have a long to medium range battle with any enemy. Both her M12 and her SPA 15 lose a lot of damage at a medium range, so it's best to use Caveira around corners or up close. If an enemy knows you're in the area, it's best to close the distance by using that speed of Caveira's. Caveira's loadout was meant for her to have close range battles, so if you close the distance with your enemy, more often than not, Caveira is going to win that gunfight. Now I'm going to be talking about how you could best utilize impact grenades with Caveira. Impact grenades could be utilized so well with Caveira. One major thing you could do with impact grenades is throw them at walls when you're trying to flank. If you're trying to flank an enemy and you need to make your own pathway to them that's really quick, impact grenades provide a small hole for you to vault over. This, added with Caveira's speed, makes it so easy for you to get the drop on your enemy. Also, if you're trying to push an enemy, having impact grenades could help you distract them. Also, you could use impact grenades to severely injure riot shield players. Last thing to note is that if you're Caveira, you constantly need to be moving. And what I mean by this is, if you've been in the same room for the whole match, eventually the enemy is going to know you're there. So since you have Silent Step, use that to your advantage. If the enemy team knows where you're at, eventually they're going to come after you and kill you. If you're constantly switching room, the enemy is going to have a hard time knowing where you're at. And this could easily make you have the drop on the enemy. Now I'm going to be talking about 5 mistakes I see people make when playing Caveira, and this is people I've seen and also myself. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make with Caveira is when they interrogate somebody, they immediately rush the enemy. Once you interrogate your enemy, you need to know how many people are around each other. If you rush in blindly during an interrogation, you're most likely going to get killed. Just because their location is compromised, it doesn't mean you should go rush the enemy blindly. Also, you need to be aware of how the icons are moving. If the icons are still, they're most likely waiting for you to come around the corner so they can shoot you. If the icons are running away, you should pursue those characters because most likely they're the ones prone to getting killed. The second mistake I notice people make with Caveira is not using her primary weapons. Her pistol does 99 damage, so a lot of people tend to always use that. But there's a lot of situations where you should have used your primary. For example, if you know an enemy is coming towards you, it's best to use your primary because if you're using your secondary weapon, there could be a group of them and having a shotgun over your pistol is a lot better in that situation. Also, keep in mind that the pistol's damage is only good really up close. That 99 damage is really only effective when it's close quarter combat. Once you get to a medium to long range battle, that pistol is no longer that strong. So stick to your primary weapons and use your pistol only when it calls for it. Finally, the last mistake I see people make with Caveira is being an active roamer. And what I mean by this is people usually find a spot to hide in with Caveira and they usually don't do much. They usually hide in their little safe spot and not be active. They usually don't engage the enemy at all until like the last 30 seconds of the round, and by then you usually already lost the round because you came in too late. Your role as Caveira, you always want to engage the enemy. Even if you get no kills with Caveira, you can still make the enemy really paranoid. They'll be a lot more worried about you instead of the people inside the objective room. Also, when you're active, there's chances for interrogation, and if the enemy is pushing your team and you get an interrogation during that, your team can have a huge advantage because basically everybody's position was compromised, and intel is easily one of the biggest things in the game. In certain situations, if you get an interrogation, it could just change the round for your team even though you guys were losing. Overall, that's why it's really important to be active when you're playing Caveira. So now guys, I'm going to be rating Caveira on 3 things, which is loadout, gadget, and team efficiency. For Caveira's loadout, I'm going to have to give her a 6 out of 10. The reason I gave her loadout such a low score is because the M12 is really a bad weapon, and the Spot 15 is good up close, but once you get into that medium to long range battle again, it's pretty bad. I like the fact that you're able to down people with the Spot 15 up close, but that's just not enough to get her score up. The reason she gets an above average score is because her Lucian pistol. The Lucian pistol is my favorite pistol, mainly because it's really silenced and it does a lot of damage up close. Also, I really like the fact that they give Caveira impact grenades for her gadget. Her having impact grenades definitely increased her loadout score. Since Caveira is one of the fastest operators in the game, having impact grenades can provide so much potential for you when you play her. Overall, I think Caveira should have had better primary weapons. The M12 is so shitty that I usually never pick it, and the Spot 15 is really good, but it lacks the range to be effective in some situations, and the kickback is really strong, so a lot of times you're really inaccurate with the shotgun. So this is why Caveira gets a 6 out of 10 for her loadout. For Caveira's gadget, I'm going to give her a 8 out of 10. I really like the whole idea of silent step. Since Caveira really has no limit to her ability, it's really cool using it. A lot of the times when you're playing, noise is a huge factor to take into consideration. Whether you're playing attack or defense, a lot of the times you're going to be listening for the enemy's footsteps. So having a skill that basically eliminates that is a huge advantage when you're playing on defense. In addition to that, Caveira also has interrogation. Since interrogation gives you everybody's location from the enemy side, it is so easy to get kills once that happens. Also, your teammates have a view of the enemy through the walls, so since the icon is located right above their head, they have easy chances of getting headshots. And even though the interrogation only lasts around 10 seconds, you can still get a lot of kills from it. Also, there's a slight satisfaction you get when you actually get interrogation because it's not so easy to get. An interrogation requires you to down an enemy, then make sure there's no teammates around him. Then you have to interrogate for 3 seconds, hoping you don't get shot during the process. It's a lot harder than it looks, but when you get it done, it's well worth it. Now moving on to Caveira's team efficiency, I'm going to have to give her an 8 out of 10 for this one. Caveira's silent step doesn't really help out the team, but what really helps out the team is interrogation. In order to succeed in Rainbow Six Siege, you need to have good communication with your teammates. Once you have good communication established on your team, good intel will eventually come. And Caveira hands down has the best intel any operator can give you, which is basically your enemy's exact location in real time. You can only ask for more when it comes to intel. Also, Caveira's loadout and gadget makes it very easy for her to be one of the best roamers in the game. Also, having a really good roamer like Caveira could put a lot of pressure on the team. The attacking team knows if they only rotate one operator towards Caveira, that if he gets down, the other operator's position are really compromised. And this overall slows down the push from the attacking team. This is why Caveira gets a high score of 8 out of 10 for her team efficiency. Finally, Caveira's overall score is a 7 out of 10. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. If you did, hit that like button. Also, make sure to check out other operator videos I posted. And if you guys do want more content like this, hit that subscribe button for more. I hope you guys enjoyed and thanks for watching.